Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm gonna do a little bit of a mid-tier list for you guys. I've been paying attention to the meta. I'm sure you guys have been watching the pro scene as well, and I just want to give a quick list 1 through 5 on heroes that I think are very strong in the current meta. And honestly, I don't know if there's gonna even be a patch for a while, so frankly, it's best that you learn these heroes, and even if they do get nerfed, I have a feeling they'll still be good in the next patch. Even, there's been this trend that's been going on. Most heroes that have gotten nerfed have not been hard enough to kick them out of the meta, outside of, Tiny, and maybe a little bit of Magnus. But, even then, Mag is a decent hero still, even after TI. Okay, yeah, Tiny was killed. What else was good? Bane is still good, right? And that was a hero consistently being picked. There's plenty of examples, but nonetheless, let's get into it. And by the way, guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the gameleap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. So coming in at number 5 is one, honestly, I might even talk most about number 5 on this list because it's a hero I'm very passionate about. That is Pugna. Now, on Dota 2 Pro Tracker, the hero currently has a 57.1% win rate. Now, to be fair, that is over 154 games, a very small sample size, only 22 more wins than losses. That's nothing crazy. However, it is still a 57% win rate nonetheless. It's one of the highest of the heroes that are relatively picked, and I've been playing quite a bit of Pugna. Now, I've been playing Pugna in the offlane, but it's very similar to mid lane, with slight differences. Pugna feels very good to me right now. I actually think the hero is being wildly undervalued. Recently, Pugna's Q was buffed twice in a row. Twice in a row. Pugna's Q was increased by 100 range total. 100 range. In the past, you would literally have to be melee range to cast Pugna's Q. It was extremely awkward, inconvenient, and would cause you to go out of position. That's no longer the case, right? You would have to get Aether Lens as soon as possible just to use the Q. That's no longer the case. It was massively buffed, a huge buff to the lane, a huge buff to the mid game, every portion of the game. It's a huge buff. His ability to push wave safely, massively buffed. And then on top of that, I think the hero is a good laner. It loses very little mid matchups. I think this hero is an incredible laner, right? It's just a low cooldown nuke that shoves in the lane, has Decrep for melee heroes, right? So some lanes it dominates because of Decrep, and it can spam bottle charges, right? Just spam the Q, spam bottle charges, and you're vibing, right? Like a lot of other mid heroes right now. And then Netherward's just a good ability. All in all, I just think this hero, as a space creator, is one of the best mids. It creates an unbelievable amount of space in the early game because it never really has to go back to base. It has 0 cooldowns besides Netherward, which is 35 seconds. And half the time in the early game, you don't even skill it, right? Unless there's specific matchups where you need it. You don't even skill it. And so I really believe pro teams are going to start picking this hero up. I think it's one of those heroes that really being underlooked right now. And if you can get a jump on it, get down the vibe, get down the gameplay, it is a little bit hard. The main tip I would give if you are to run it right now is just spam your spells. What most people do wrong is they don't spam it. They'll have life drain and they'll wait till they can kill someone. Just do a third of their HP, a fourth of their HP, half of their HP. Just do what you can, get Aether Lens as soon as possible, and watch a replay before you play it. Alright, getting into number 4 is Invoker. I think Invoker is just pretty well rounded right now. I wouldn't play him as Exhort. I think it's too greedy. It doesn't scale that well. But as Wex, I really like it. The hero just works. The only thing I'll say is if you fall behind coming out of the laning stage, it can be very awkward, right? The game can be, it can be a bit sketch. I've seen multiple Invokers where they lose their lane, they have a hard time recovering if they don't get return kills, and the game gets weird. So you gotta make sure you're comfortable on Invoker, you gotta make sure you know what to do in the lane, when to cast Tornado, Wex, what is it called, EMP, and so on. However, yeah, the hero has a good laning stage. It's a good laner, it scales well into the mid game, and the build I personally recommend is going Urn into Midas into Vessel, and then a BKB. And the reason why I like this is I think what people should do on Invoker and how they should look at the hero is you spend the first 8-ish minutes farming mid, just getting your levels up. Then if there's a convenient gank, you go gank, right? If they're diving a tower, you TP in. If you get a haste, you go run over. If they're low and they're not paying attention, you go in. And so what I think people should be doing is basically playing Invoker as like a early game tempo hero with Earn, but not overcommitting to it, which is the purpose of the Midas. It's going to help you recover and eventually transition to Exhort later on. You can go Ags if you have, a Tide on your team or an Axe or a Centaur. You can go Sheep. That's a very common item I see. I see people go Blink, Sheep Stick on Invoker, and yeah, those are your general options. So the hero's pretty flexible. It's good tempo, good lane, just a very reliable pick in my opinion right now. Coming in at number 3 is any of the spirits, including Spirit Breaker. Yes, I actually mean that, including Spirit Breaker. Any of the spirits are fine, right? So the big thing to understand here is that really they're all about the same place. They fulfill different roles in the game. Like for instance, Ember is really nice when you need this like consistent high tempo hero. Like he's probably the most the highest tempo, but he doesn't give you the most lockdown. For instance, like Void Spirit and Storm both have hard stuns, so they're really nice with a hero like Snapfire because you have a hard stun to play with. To be fair, Ember does have chains, which is why they all kind of fulfill a similar purpose, but at the end of the day, chains is not a hard stun, so you just have to keep in mind what your team actually needs. Do you need a hard stun? Is Ember going to win his lane and snowball the game? Because he generally is the best at that. Like Ember, from my opinion and what I've been watching, he runs over games. Like this hero runs over games when it gets ahead. If it comes out of a good lane and then has good matchups, like they can't lock him down, he just annihilates harder than both of the other spirits. But Void, he scales super well. He has this ridiculous timing. When he gets 3 or 4 items, he really comes online. I love going Kaya Sange, Ags into Octarine. Man, when you get those items, you dumpster. And then Storm, just well-rounded. Great Ags timing later on. I think Kaya Sange BKB is generally the best build. You can sometimes go Orchid if the game calls for it. And yeah, that's it for number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Outworld. Is it Devourer? Destroyer? You guys know what I'm talking about. Basically, I'm not going to harp too much on this hero. I've covered it in the last, 2 lists because it's just good. It's an offlaner. It's kind of like the number 1 hero as well, which I'll get into in a second. But it's an offlaner, it's a mid laner, it can be played as a safe laner. I had a guy play it position 4 and do fine. It's just one of those heroes that is all around very, very good. It's all around pretty broken. It has a good lane, 7 armor, 820 movement speed, 60 base damage approximately, and it gets a meteor hammer at 5 minutes or 6 minutes. Generally more around 6 minutes, but in the mid lane, it's very easy to get last hits. It's very easy to get farm. And so you're going to get your 6-minute Meteor Hammer. It does like a 700 damage with your maxed out Astral, or 3 points in Astral, depending on what build you go. Your Q does like 100 damage, and then your nuke finishes them off. And you solo kill basically anyone. That's just how it goes. If a hero walks up and tanks the Meteor Hammer combo, they're probably going to die. And the reality is, this causes a major problem in games where, essentially, if you want to play against OD, you have to bring 2 heroes. Right? So they can stun the OD or prevent the OD from, casting Meteor Hammer. However, in pubs, that's very hard to orchestrate. Alright, remember the last time you asked your support to gank mid? What did he do? Probably nothing. Right? And so it's basically impossible to deal with it in pubs. You're going to get a lot of farm because Meteor Hammer helps you farm. You're going to take the mid tier 1. You're going to scale, and personally, the build I recommend, mid is a little bit weird. I actually think Meteor Hammer into Midas is best for mid. I just think scaling and hitting ridiculous timings is best. But if you're not having the best of games, you can actually go Meteor Hammer to Ags or Meteor Hammer to Aether Lens into Ags, and you can just play around saving people, kiting in and out, and then owning people with your ultimate. It feels incredibly good. Alright, let's get into number 1, and that is Queen of Pain. This hero is being played as an offlaner, safe laner, and most importantly, as a mid laner. This hero has a very good laning stage. It has a range creep secure at level 1, right, with Scream of Pain, which is generally what you're going to take unless you're in a very favorable matchup. I talk all about this in the most recent Queen of Pain video, so if you want to learn exactly how to play it, go check out that video. But yeah, you take Scream of Pain at level 1, Dagger at level 2, 3, and then when you have Dagger level 3, most heroes can lane, including ranged heroes. A lot of them get bullied out of lane. It makes it very, very hard because Quap heals every single tick and they take damage. And then you just have bottle charges up the wazoo, and you can blink to runes, right? So it's very easy to secure runes as Quap. It's highly unlikely you don't get a rune, especially in pubs. And so you can even, in a lot of scenarios, get both runes if you're fast, right? If the enemy isn't paying enough attention, you can get both runes. And that's incredibly powerful, right? Incredibly powerful in this current bottle meta. And then moving on from there, honestly, what people are playing around is mostly Quap's talents. Like, it's her talents and her shard. the thing about Quap's Shard, if you don't know what it does 175 damage from where you blink and where you blink to. And so it does 350 damage if you blink in place, which means you can one-shot waves. It also means you silence for 1.75 seconds where you blink to, and that means you can jump backliners and late pop BKB, or at least just prevent them from casting their spells, defensive spells, whatever it is, immediately. And it does a lot of damage, and so you can one-shot most supports. Like, you have that capability. You can one-shot most supports. So they have to just hide in the trees the entire fight. And even if they do catch you, most of the time you don't die, because at level 10 you have 11 strength talent, which is 220 health, a very high number, especially considering you're combining that with a Kaya Sange, 2 nulls, a wand, raindrops, treads. You can have like 2k HP and 22% status resist, as well as the ability to silence people. Obviously, this isn't the whole game, so do keep in mind if you're playing against Quap and you're curious, like, what do I do against Quap? Well, when she only has Kaya, she's not that tanky, right? She'll have like 1300 HP, which is a good amount. The hero's not very squishy when she goes like the stat-based build, frankly. Like, even without Sange, she's pretty good, which is why it's a very well-rounded hero right now, and I definitely recommend playing it in pubs. But you gotta know how to hit her spells, you gotta know how to scale, you gotta know how to play around the ultimate timing. What a lot of people do wrong on Quap is they'll just fight. You gotta farm when your ulti's down. But as I said, I covered this all in the Quap video, so that's gonna be all for today's tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot about, these heroes, these top 5 heroes. Give them a shot. Let me know how it goes. You could always DM me on Discord. Always curious to what you guys have to say. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!